Hi, welcome to Bourne Call-In. We generally have things in the news on this show, and this is something pretty special tonight. This is the 100th anniversary of the Bourne Historical Society. And tonight I've got Gioia, Dimock, who's the site manager at Aptucxet Trading Post, and Diane, Flynn, who's the president of the Historic Society with us. And they're going to give us a little bit of update on what's going on this year at the site. And I understand things are happening. So first, let's talk a little bit about the Daffodil Festival. You just had a Daffodil Festival. It was wonderful. What are you thinking?
It was wonderful. It was just wonderful. And actually, the daffodils are still in bloom and beautiful over there. As most people know now, I think we got a grant from the Bourne Community Engagement Committee to order and plant 5,000 bulbs. And of course, we did that in the fall, and with a lot of help from the garden club, from volunteers, from the Historic Society, members, neighbors, capabilities came. We got all the bulbs planted, and then we had to sit and wait, because you really don't know with plants. So we came through the winter, and they did all come up, and they're all in bloom. Came right about the beginning of April. And April 10th was our Daffodil Festival, which was probably the best day of the month so far, weather-wise. The sun was shining, the daffodils were all standing up, and people came, and it just seemed like a beautiful day.
Yeah, I know you brought some pictures, and I'd like to show them to
I would love that.
those of you who weren't able to come. And this is a picture of the windmill. I don't know if you can see it. We can zoom in on
It's hard to
it.
see the daffodils, I
But
think, but there's
if
lots
I
of
square
them.
this off a little bit, you can see it pretty good.
Yeah,
Here we go.
that looks pretty
And
good.
that's all daffodils, and that's kind of in front of the railroad station.
Yes, it is.
And that's a beautiful windmill picture too.
Oh, it is. It really
And then again,
is. Now this
you-
one here.
yeah, you can
This
tell
is-
us a little bit about this one.
Okay, now this is a heart, and again, it's hard to see. You can sort of see it, but when you go there and look, it's a very clearly a heart planted with daffodils. And that day, people were in that. They put their kids in there. Were taking pictures. It was really a big hit, and it's still in bloom.
And that's right in front of the Grover Cleveland.
Right in front of the Grover Cleveland train station when you pull into
Yeah.
the museum at Aptucxet. So.
Yeah, that's a beautiful picture. And this one here, let me see if I can get this up a little bit so you can see it better.
Yeah.
There we go.
Now this one just shows the row of daffodils down the front, which really is where we concentrated, since we do have a colonial era setting, yes, at
Yeah.
the trading post. We tried to keep them kind of away from there. But so it's very heavy up front, where the windmill and the train station are, but they're really all over the property.
All right, and this here's just a picture of some of the personnel who volunteered that day to man the table, and it was a free event. Didn't cost anything. Yep, people donated, but
Here we have Jane Otis and Bill Town,
Bill Town.
Bourne Historical Society board member Bill Town.
Yeah.
And they're manning the table where they were giving out the food to the volunteers and the people who came and helped us that day,
Yeah,
and the crafters.
This weekend you're having a community art sale, right?
We-
May I just go back to that?
Yeah.
Sure.
Also, the Bourne Cultural Council.
That's right.
Supported us with a grant too. We paid for some entertainment, we had a disc jockey,
Yep.
Don Gomes, and we had vintage vehicles
Yep.
parked all around the site.
That's
too.
right, and that was a big hit. That was a big, really nice addition to the day.
And you had nice weather that day.
Oh, it was so beautiful.
Yeah.
And really, only half the daffodils were up at that point. So I hope that the people of Bourne will come and keep coming and looking, because they're still coming.
Well, that's what I was moving to, is
Yes.
that, you've got another smaller event this weekend, it's basically a
That's
community
right.
yard sale, but
It's
the-
a
the-
community yard sale.
Yes,
the daffodils are still in bloom.
Yes.
And people have an opportunity to come by and
that's
see
right.
them.
And we're going to open the gift shop up that day, too.
Okay, and the gift shop will be open.
Because we've had so many people coming by and saying, is the gift shop open?
Yeah, well,
They're
that's
looking
good.
at daffodils and they want to come. So,
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Daffodil, and that all went really well. So what other sorts of things do you have planned for this year?
In May, on May 15th, we're going to have the Pirate Festival. It's our 10th annual. Rockin' Rob, the friendly pirate, is going to come down and sing and do parades and play with the kids. And we'll also have all kinds of activities for the children.
Are you going to have treasure in the sand pile?
We are. We're going to have treasures in the sand pile, and we'll also have a treasure map that the kids can follow and find a treasure chest where they can also get a prize.
A lot of people have noticed that there seems to be treasure in the treasure pile almost year-round now. There's always kids in there digging. There's not a lot of treasure, but they do find treasure.
Yes, they do.
It's really...
It's fun.
It's fun.
Yeah,
That's
and
right.
people seem to enjoy it. They bring their kids or their grandchildren down, and they enjoy the canal, and they enjoy the grounds, and you can sit down and relax, and the kids go dig in the sand pile.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of no phone or nothing. They just dig in,
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So
That's right.
what other events? Pirate Festival, and then
The next thing coming up after Pirate Festival will be opening weekend. That'll be that
weekend.
Memorial Day weekend, and maybe this is a good time to talk about the hours for this
Yes.
year.
Yeah.
Because this year, we are opening Aptucxet. You know, we weren't open at all last year, of course, because of the pandemic, but we are gonna open this year, but we're only gonna be open Fridays and Saturdays. And we hope that works out for people. We will also be doing maybe private tours and things like that. But we decided that that might be the good way to really start back opening up, you know, in a safe way, and it's kind of a work in progress here. But for opening weekend, on that Friday of Memorial Day weekend, we are bringing the Bourne stone back to Aptucxet. And we have a beautiful spot for it already in the museum. We were going to bring it back last year, but of course the pandemic put us behind the 8 ball on that, and
Yeah, a lot of new residents aren't aware of the Bourne stone or its significance. I mean, could you tell me a little bit about the Bourne stone?
well, the Bourne stone, a lot of people will call it a rune stone, and that's not really quite what it is. But it's a stone that was originally found somewhere. We don't really know where. But it was discovered in Bourne as the doorstep of the first mission that the Pilgrims set up for the Native Americans.
That was
it was
in
like the
Bournedale,
church.
right?
It was in Bournedale. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. And the little building they built had to be moved, you know, 2 or 3 different times. So I'm not 100% sure of this exact history. I'm not sure anyone is, but when they moved that stone, which some Native American had brought to be the doorstep, they turned it over and realized at that point all the writing was on it. And we've had lots of different opinions, and we've had a lot of different people looking at it, scientists and otherwise, and nobody really has said exactly, precisely, it is this and this only. But we have heard it's possibly got Viking writing on it, possibly Phoenician, possibly Portuguese, maybe Welsh. There's a lot of theories about this stone. And of course, Native American. We had a Native American woman come in and say to us at one point she knew exactly what it was. It was a traveling stone. Now, but that was all I ever heard about that. So it's a mystery. It's one of Bourne's enduring mysteries, I think. So
Well, it's kind of a national mystery.
It really
It's
is.
been published in national
You're right about
journals
that.
about
Absolutely.
it, and it's really... It was here long before the town was here.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
and
And,
the only reason it was named Bourne was because it was in Bournedale.
Exactly.
when
Yeah,
it was
that's
found.
correct.
Yeah, it wasn't really named after the town of Bourne.
Not
It was
at
found
all.
in the village of Bournedale.
Right. Right.
And yeah,
Oh, it's a
so
beautiful
that's going to
thing.
be at the Post.
That will be at the Post.
Yeah.
And we hope everyone will come and see it in its new spot.
Yeah, it had been there in the past, and I know a lot of people
Yep.
come onto the grounds looking for it.
Yep.
And I have noticed that, you know, the grounds are looking pretty good, and the
The
picnic
grounds
tables are all
look great.
redone.
Yes, they are, and they look
You know?
beautiful.
Yeah, and it's ready. And last summer when, I don't mean to interject, but
No,
last summer
please.
when people couldn't find anything to do in town and they couldn't
Yep.
move, the Historic Society kept the grounds open all
Yes.
summer.
Yes.
And all the picnic tables, and they kept the water on, and people came and used the
Yes,
picnic
they
area
did.
virtually every day. It was
Yeah.
like the only town park on this side of the bridge that was really utilized heavily. And, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, we were very fortunate that way, that we
Yeah.
have a big enough property
Yes.
that we can do that. And with canal access, you know,
Yeah.
which can be hard to come by.
yeah.
We have the picnic tables, which do look great. They're painted this year and they look fabulous. And the gardens are really looking good, other than the daffodils even. We're getting the Three Sisters Garden in order. The Aptucxet Garden Club is gonna come and do, fix up the colonial gardens. I
They
know
do some
those,
beautiful gardens in there.
they really
do.
are. They really
It's
are.
beautiful grounds.
And a wildflower garden, we also have that.
We
I
do.
don't wanna forget that. That's
Yeah,
a beautiful thing too, so.
yeah. So it'll be open just like last year this summer, so people can
Yeah.
come during the week and they can walk in the evening and use the grounds and sit there. There's a water bubbler for
Yep.
kids who get thirsty.
Yep.
They can dig treasure anytime. There's always a
Exactly.
couple of shovels around, you know, little plastic kid shovels, but you know, it's kind of a neat little
Oh, it's
park on this side of the bridge.
It
and a lot of
really
people
is.
aren't aware
It
of
really
it.
is.
And it is your 100th anniversary, so in the 100 years, have there been any digs on the property?
Well, there have been numerous digs on the property, and unfortunately, the person who really knows about that is not here with us this evening, so. Yes, there have been, and there have been a lot of things discovered on the property. I think this year, one of the things we're gonna try and do is collate all that information and put it all together, so that, you know, so that all of the different things that have been done are in one place and can be really utilized for research. And
So
then-
exactly what was the trading post? I mean, people who have moved here from other places, and a lot of people that even live here haven't been there. What, you know, I know there's a huge history with the trading post.
Well, there is. Of the trading post itself, that is a replica building of what a trading post may have looked like back in, you know, colonial times.
And it's on the original foundation, though.
We think it's on the original foundation, that's exactly right. And there was a dig done there in the 1920s, and then, and it was, I think, dedicated in the Bourne Historical Society was founded in 1921 to take care of that property because of that, because they thought it was the site of the original trading post. And this was the first trading post of the Pilgrims.
And the Dutch were also involved,
The
right?
Dutch came, yeah, that's exactly
And
right.
the Native Americans, right?
That's right, because it had access to the New Amsterdam colony where the Dutch were, and they were already trading there. So that they had access through the Monument River to the trading post, and the Native Americans also traded there. So it was a three-way trade. It was also the place where they really utilized wampum for the first time as a unit of currency between, you know, three different peoples, that it wasn't their normal currency. For the Native Americans it was. But anyway,
Yeah, so the Dutch came up, rather than going around the Cape, they'd come up into Buzzards Bay from
That's
New
right.
York. They'd come up the coast, right into Buzzards Bay, all the way to the head of the bay, which is what this is.
Mhm.
And then the Plymouth colonists would come down from Plymouth, and
that's
the Dutch actually built the post, I believe, or they built it together.
that, I don't think that's quite.
No?
No, I
Okay,
don't think
Dutch
so.
didn't build the post?
No,
Okay,
well,
as the
not
colonists?
according to Bradford's writings, which
All
is
right.
what we really know about the post. You know, of course, they built it, they traded there for a long time, but they didn't, for them, that wasn't that important at the time. They didn't write everything down, so the history is only collated later on.
Yeah.
So what we know about it, we know from Governor Bradford's writings, who was the governor of the
I have noticed, I've been there, that, you know, the colonists from England who came here had, you know, in England, all the water had been contaminated with sewage, so they couldn't drink the water, so they would make beer.
Yes.
And then when they came to Plymouth, even though the water here was good, they missed their beer. And when they built the trading post, there's actually a facility in there to make beer.
Yes,
So they
that's
made
true.
their own
That's
beer.
true.
So they had this little hut away from
Right.
all the clergy and all the women. And
Well,
the
beer
hunters
now-
would go.
But beer wasn't against anyone's rules at that time.
No, but they had
because
plenty of it.
that's true.
I noticed
That's
they
true.
had like 100
Matter
gallons.
of fact, from what I understand, they brought a certain amount on the Mayflower so that every person, men, women, and children, could have a certain amount every day.
Yeah.
while they were on the ship. And, you know, like you say, because they were afraid of the water, it was polluted in England, and of course they brought that fear here. So they were used to drinking beer rather than, and there's something to be said about maybe a little antiseptic quality to the alcohol that was in it. At least that's what we like to say now.
Yeah, that was I always found it interesting. I'm not trying to.
No, that's
you know,
no, that is it is interesting.
Yeah,
It's very
it
interesting.
really is, and the fact that they even in the replica post they built the facilities to
Yes.
replicate the actual, and they had the ability to make
Right.
beer there, and plus ovens to cook bread if they were
Right.
hungry, but obviously had the beer, and so. What other things do we have? Are we going to have a strawberry festival this year? Strawberry festival's big.
Diane, I believe we are going to have a strawberry
We
festival.
are going to have a strawberry festival, not as we've known it in the past.
That's right.
But it will be a drive-through. You can pick up your strawberry shortcakes all packaged and take them away, or if you do find that you want to stay, you can sit at some of the picnic tables and that
Right.
sort of thing. But we're not encouraging large gatherings.
Okay.
Right.
So rather than having a disc jockey, you might have somebody there playing a guitar, just some soft music, anything like that?
No, probably
No.
not.
There will be a craft fair though.
Yes.
All right.
So people can mingle there, but.
And the gift
again,
shop will be open.
That's right.
Gift shop is always open on these days.
Wow.
But we really can't encourage a lot
Yes,
of
that's right.
gatherings of people.
We still have to
Yeah.
be careful because of the pandemic and
Well, I know that because there are 11 acres there,
Yes.
the Daffodil Festival, you were able to hold it. You had
we had
a lot of people, but everybody was able to be
To really
spaced
spread
a-
out,
you know,
yes.
They were spread out, and they really enjoyed themselves.
Yeah.
And you did have music, but
We
you've
did.
got 3 or 4 acres that are all cleared with picnic tables and people
Right.
spread out, and there was no congregation of people. It was really,
right.
you know,
Everybody wore masks.
yeah.
Everybody was masked and we
Yeah.
had sanitizer everywhere
Yeah.
and but I will say about the DJ, he was just great. And as a matter of fact, he got people going down there. He was sort of down where the post is in the craft fair. People were actually dancing because it was 50s music, and you know, when you crank that up, it just makes you feel like dancing. And they were dancing down there.
Yeah, I
So
saw
it was a
some-
very happy day.
I
That
saw
whole
some of the videos, and I noticed the individuals were dancing not with each other, but apart.
Right, they
Everybody,
were just
everybody
dancing.
having a good time. It was
yeah, people
really,
would hear the music and they'd kind of come running down, but they'd be like dancing on the way down. It was really, people were happy that day. It was
Yeah.
a really good event, I will say.
I wasn't there. I wish I'd been there, but I
I
wasn't.
know.
But I
Well,
got
you were
a
there in
lot
the
of
morning.
feedback
Yeah.
about it, and apparently a lot of people came off the canal who weren't planning
Yeah,
to go.
right.
And because of the music, they
And
had
the
to go see
beautiful
what was
day.
going on, and then they walked the grounds, and they had a really good time.
Yeah,
And it went well.
yeah.
And what else would you have? I don't know. Tell me what else you'd have for the Strawberry Festival or the Pirate Festival. You got Rock and Rob. Will you have food or no?
Yes, we will. Actually, there'll be a food truck there. And for both events.
For its strawberry?
Yeah.
Yeah, good, good.
And some entertainment for the Strawberry Festival. And the strawberry shortcakes will be made the same way as we always do with the homemade biscuits and the whipped cream.
Yeah.
And so.
And strawberries.
And it will be packaged up separately, so if you order 2 shortcakes, for instance, you would get a container of strawberries, 2 biscuits separately,
Right.
and then a container of whipped cream, right.
Right.
Because a lot of people might not like their strawberry shortcake soggy,
Yes, yeah.
to think it was just, you know, you were gonna have to take it home all made. No, you'll get to take it home
And
and
put it
make
together.
it yourself, which will be
Wow,
nice.
that's really good.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot more work for you, but it'll be really nice for the
It
people
will
who
be.
come. Yeah.
And because of COVID too, there's certain ways that we have to prepare
Yes.
that. We can't just,
We
I
can't
don't do it
serve like
willy-nilly.
that,
I'm
yeah.
sure. I'm sure you'll follow food
Right,
code,
right.
right? Yeah, I can't wait. I can't
It's gonna be
wait,
fun,
you know?
and we'll get to have the strawberry shortcakes, which
Yeah.
we missed last year.
Yeah, and I know that, you know, there's a pavilion there on the site that people use for birthday parties or graduation parties, and
Different
actually there's been a
local
couple of
clubs
weddings there
use
and
them,
stuff
yeah.
like that. Local clubs use it all the time. So is that available to people in the community if
That
they
is
want to rent it for the
available to
weekend?
rent
Yeah.
it is available to rent for birthday parties, you know, any kind of a little event you might want to have.
Yeah, it's enclosed, it's 50 by 20, and it's got a little stage on one end
Oh, yeah,
inside.
it's good size.
Really, it's
good
pretty good size,
Yeah,
and,
yeah, yeah.
you know, quite a few people in the community use it now.
Yeah.
I know some of the fishing clubs use it because they have fishing tournaments on the canal, and they use it, and they rent it. And it's not a lot to rent, and there's restrooms there,
Yes.
which is a real big plus if you.
Oh, that's a plus on the
you know,
canal.
And we
Yes.
keep the restrooms open as
Yeah.
much as we can. We
Yeah.
can't open them during the week all the time, but when
Right.
we're open, they're open.
Yes.
And they're clean and they're well kept.
Yeah, definitely.
There's
Definitely.
a lot of benefits right there. And
It's a great property. It's just beautiful.
yeah, you try to keep people parking up closer to
We-
the gift shop, and then
we do.
handicap availability is down closer to the post.
That's right, that's right. We
You know?
do try and control the parking a little bit, just so cars aren't everywhere, so people can really look around the property rather than seeing
Yeah.
cars
Be
everywhere.
worried about.
Well, I
Yeah.
know that Ted Ellis put in a lot of handicap parking down close
Mhm.
to the,
Yeah, so that's
to
very
the
good.
post, and that's been a
Exactly.
real big benefit. When he
Yes.
was the head of building and grounds, that was one of his big priorities,
Yeah.
and it worked out
Yeah.
really well.
It did work out good,
And,
that's a
and
good,
we try to keep signage, I know you try to keep signage in there, but some people kinda don't realize it's handicap parking, even though there's signs right there, and, you know,
Right.
we
Well, there are a
try to get
couple
them
of
to
spaces
respect that
there
a little
that
more
are-
in the summertime.
that are not just handicapped, but we do
Yeah.
try and, especially during a festival or something, we try
Yeah.
and keep that as to the handicapped
Yeah,
and have everyone else park in the parking lot, which is,
yeah, it works really well, and then I've seen overflow parking on the railroad property across
oh,
the street.
yeah.
You know, and it's really, this year is just started off really good for you guys.
Yes,
It really
it
has, and it
really
really
did.
is the 100th year. And are you gonna have a 100th party, say, in the fall or something, or you're not, don't know yet?
We're gonna do something, but probably more towards the end of the year, because I think
Yeah.
it's
And
really
so-
December that makes it,
That makes the 100th
yes,
year.
yes.
Yeah.
So,
So when you do the winter solstice, that may be the
That
100th.
may-
that could be very well.
And
could
most
be.
people don't know what a winter solstice is, but at Aptucxet, it's held on the 21st of December, where it's supposed to be. And they have roasted oysters, and they have different kinds of food, and
Mhm.
everything's, you know, food quality.
Oh, yeah,
And it's a big get-together. I've been to it, and it's in the evening, and it's cold.
but it's nice to be
And a
outside.
lot of people show
yeah,
up, and they're
yeah.
outside, and it's the only winter solstice
We'll have
in the
something
area.
very special planned for this year's solstice.
That would be really
Oh,
good.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
On the third Sunday in July, we're going to have that Sunday morning service. Normally, we have it at 7:30 in the morning, and it is really early, but we're having it later at 9:30 in the morning.
That's right.
Hoping that more people will be able to come.
Yeah.
yeah,
It-
that'd be good.
It's
That
a
would be good.
pilgrim
It's a
church
pilgrim.
service,
So,
yes.
so you'll put that out on Facebook a week
Oh, yeah.
before, so that
Yes,
people are
yes,
aware.
yes, yes.
Yeah, Facebook's become a new way to
Yeah.
get these events out there. I've seen them on Facebook, and,
I've seen that.
you know, it's really good for the community. It is. I just want to mention to anybody who might be watching, if you have a question and you want to call in, our number is 508-759-6763. I really didn't think there'd be a lot of call-ins about this, because this is really, one of the better organizations in the community that, you know, I shouldn't say better. There's two organizations. I don't mean we're better or worse, but this one here is right on the canal. It's 100 years old, and it's really going to be a good year. You guys,
Yes,
you
it is.
started.
It
You
is.
started with that festival for the daffodils, and
It was a good kickoff for
it
a
was
100.
huge.
It really
was
was,
huge.
yeah,
Really
yeah.
good.
You know, it was something that, you know, you really needed, and the community really needed.
Yeah.
People really needed
They,
to
you know,
do
I
something.
think because of the pandemic even, that it made it better. It was a good reason to get outside. It was one of the first really sunny days too, and it was nice enough to be out walking around. And you know,
Family oriented.
yeah.
And it was no admission.
And daffodils are so cheerful.
Yeah.
They're all standing up looking at you.
Yeah,
You know,
they're beautiful.
it's just, they're beautiful.
But I'm just, you know, on behalf of the community, I really think it was really,
Yeah.
really exceptional, and it, you know, the timing was perfect. A lot of friends and neighbors haven't been able to get together and talk to each other for over a year,
Yeah,
and it was a place where people didn't have to be close to each other. You could be 6 foot away, no
That's
problem.
right.
You could have a conversation. There were other people talking to people. It really, it is a good place for
Yeah.
this.
It-
It
yeah.
really is.
yeah, that was
And,
really a good way to
And
kick
the
off
picnic tables
year.
over there, generally, they're not any closer than, say, 30 foot to another one. They're really spread
Oh,
out
yeah,
really well.
yeah. There's a lot of room to spread out on that property.
Yeah, yeah, it's
so
just, and it's right
People
on the
should
canal.
feel free to come and, you know, enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because there really is,
Yeah, other than that,
I just really would like to touch just a tiny bit
Okay.
on Wampanoag Day, which has been an annual event
Yep.
that we do in the fall. And this year, we will
We
do
will.
one. It may be a little different than we've had in the past.
We're hoping to be a little bigger.
Yeah,
And, because this is also, will be the 20th year since we started Wampanoag Day. Eleanor Hammond, Ernestine Gray, and Judy McAllister got that going 20 years ago now.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so this year, I think we missed a year for some reason. So it isn't that we've had it for 20 years, but it was 20 years ago.
A lot of people missed a year, particularly
Yeah,
this year.
this last year,
Yeah,
we all missed
you
that
can't
year.
do everything every
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
A lot of groups do things on alternate years.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good idea to do the Wampanoag Festival, and I really think it draws a lot of people, because it really
Oh,
shows
yes.
their
Culture.
history and their culture
Yeah.
and their heritage, and they tell their stories,
Yeah.
and they show their dances, and they play their music, and they provide their food sometimes. It's just,
Oh, it's wonderful.
it really goes, and it's
And
in the
really-
fall.
It's in the fall, and Aptucxet is a native place. It was a native place before it was ever a trading
Right,
post.
absolutely.
So that was the fishing grounds. So it's very appropriate that we do that we've included that, and that it continues to be, one of the programs we put on.
Well, we're really fortunate they even come and do it there. It
Yeah,
really is. I mean,
we are.
it's something they normally do in Mashpee,
Yeah.
because Mashpee is their central area.
That's right.
And it really wasn't the Bournedale Herring Pond Tribe's grounds, or maybe it was.
No, it was,
but
originally.
They come in, and we get both groups who do
Oh,
a
yeah.
tremendous amount
Yeah,
of work
they
there.
do, they
And
do, they do.
They put on a real educational moment.
Yes.
It really is.
Yes,
It really
it
is. And
it
I
is.
just.
And it's needed around here.
Absolutely
you
needed.
know.
Absolutely, and it's a day about them.
Yeah,
It's not a day about us, it's a day
That's
about
right.
them and their
That's right.
history, and we really appreciate the fact that they just come, and they bring all their stuff, and their people come, and it's their day.
yeah.
It's
yeah.
their day.
It is, it's quite wonderful.
You know?
And we're lucky to have the group that
We
comes
are.
every year.
We're fortunate. Most towns on the Cape don't.
I know.
And they don't have the history that goes with it.
Right.
You know, and it's not
Exactly.
really,
As part of our exhibits this year at Aptucxet, our whole second room is now Native American exhibits,
Mhm.
with local things, and the Bourne Stone will be in there. And we have an exhibit on wampum. So, yes,
Yeah.
we're really trying to not just incorporate that, but make that an active, big part of what we do there. Because it is, originally, of course, it was, so.
I know we often get CPA money to maintain the property,
Mhm.
and we do, and they, I shouldn't say maintain, but preserve, because there's a lot of preservation work there. And right now, they've done the windmill, they helped us with the
Yeah.
railroad station, and they've helped us greatly throughout
Yes.
it. And then this year, we had to redo that Native American room, and we kind of did that on our
Oh,
own.
it
We-
looks
We did it,
wonderful,
and it came
yeah.
out really nice. It
Really
did.
looks good.
So, sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do to make it happen. And
That's
you do.
right.
And we've got those ships there. We've got.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
I always forget. We always forget to talk about
Yeah,
that.
it's
We've
the
got
only
ships.
place on the Cape where there's two Revolutionary replicas side by side.
Yeah.
There's a British man of war, which was donated by the Woods Hole Museum a couple of
Yeah,
years ago.
yeah,
And it's all put together. And it
Sultana,
represents the
yeah.
British side. And then, of course, you've got the Speedwell, which represented the colonial
Yeah.
side that sailed out of Aptucxet.
That's
When
right.
you see these two boats together, you see the difference between the prim and proper British
Yes,
military and then
the kind of,
the kind of military that the colonists had, which
Right.
was really whatever they could put together.
Yeah.
It really was, and it just shows a complete difference. The amount of guns on one boat as opposed to the other.
yeah.
It just shows, and that is a big draw. People really like
It is. I mean,
the
shipbuilding
replicas.
is a big part of the history here, too.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, it was really that was a
Thank
big
you for
draw.
having us.
Thank you guys for coming. I'm going to run out
Yes,
of time.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys bringing the history of this town and everything that was here forward. I mean, you've got
Yeah,
Grover Cleveland Station. You've got all kinds of stuff.
we do.
I
It's a
guess we're
beautiful-
going. Are we off the air? No, we're not. We got 5 more minutes. Yeah, 3, 2, 1.